9:36 p.m. Wednesday night.
Yeah, baby.
A statement is released from North Carolina football. One statement from Bill Belichick. One statement from Bubba Cunningham, who did not hire Bill Belichick.
Not at all.
After hours and hours, after what do we think about it? 10 hours of flying rumors, which, by the way, nobody reputable was able to confirm.
I'm fully committed to UNC football, the program we're building here.
That is what Bill Belichick said in his statement. 12 words. Took 8 hours to compose. Bubba Cunningham had a statement too. It was something generic. If I were Bubba Cunningham, I would say, I didn't hire this guy. I'm laughing at all of you right now.
I can see the smile on the statement from Bubba Cunningham. Just so we're clear, I don't know if other people are as emphatic in reporting this. Bubba Cunningham, I think there's just enough information out there where if you're even a little bit clued into the situation, you know he had nothing to do with this and got strong-armed by a board. He's enjoying this. I can't use the words I'd like to.
He used this to then get a new deal that essentially created a runway where he trains the next AD who's already on campus and then goes into an emeritus role where he gets paid to do nothing. Like, he brokered this because they look so stupid.
I love this so much. Yeah, so I wrote a column for the Washington Post about this. I did not about the late night statement. My column was already up in print.
It was already out.
If you're a listener or a viewer of this show, I have to say this a lot. So I work with an audience at the Post is going to be a few chapters behind us hardcores. So this was basically an explanation. I started it off with there's a parallel universe in which John Summerall is probably making close to a playoff run right now on a very weak North Carolina schedule with Darian Mensah, the Tulane quarterback, and maybe 5 or 6 defensive starters from Tulane, plus a much better portal class for a cheaper total rate, considering Bill Belichick is the 9th highest paid head coach per year in college football, according to the USA Today database that came out yesterday morning. You could have had it so good if you didn't trip over something, or you thought you tripped over some part of your anatomy, when in actuality, the hubris that has made North Carolina only an on-paper good job for decades is the same reason you are staring this self-made catastrophe in the face. You can go read it at the Washington Post. Whew. It's hard to do that, Ross. You got to breathe through your nose.
It's hard. I know. It's hard. No, it's a great column, and it paints the scene of if the athletic director may have been running the search, which, you usually hire an athletic director to do things like run coaching searches. That's their main job. But if the athletic director did not run the search, but if he had, Godfrey paints the scene of what could be. What could have been in Chapel Hill.
No SEC openings last year. I think it's 4 or 5 power jobs that open in the entire cycle. We have this aberration, right? Where you have what people are calling a turnkey SEC head coach available, sitting at Tulane. And you screwed this up. And I can't use the words I want to, which has been the theme of this show. This will go down as one of the most remarkable failures in the history of college football coach hirings. I tweeted this out last December when I was in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship, that it was being described to me as a version of the 2017 Tennessee saga. And I got laughed at, and people shot that down, and people were saying, oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. I covered that search. I was privy to this one. The amount of confusion and the lack of, again, it's like I got a theme. Central authority. One person who's supposed to make the decision informed by a search committee or key individuals. That didn't happen. The inmates ran the asylum. And just because the inmates have on a really pretty Argyle sweater and a great country club membership and they're rich doesn't mean they know ball. This is a phenomenal example of booster hubris. Maybe better than even the Texas A&M Jimbo buyout in a certain way. They have scorched the earth on this program. Because they're stuck with him, guys. He's not leaving. He's not just going to walk out and say, hey, this isn't working. He's there.
His contract is fully guaranteed. He signed a 3-year, $30 million deal that is fully guaranteed. I don't know what was going on Wednesday. I really don't. It was some effort to destabilize, and it felt in concert. I don't know who was behind it. It was very interesting because all of our phones began blowing up at the same time. And not when I say ours, I mean everybody who works for every company. And But when you drilled down, when you called around, none of it was true. And you had some people go out on a limb, and people hooked onto it, aggregated it because it was sexy.
Yeah.
But it also wasn't true.
But let's keep in mind, Andy, maybe you know, because you told me it yesterday, the main source of that reporting also reported maybe during the coaching search some erroneous things.
And got some stuff
We should
wrong.
probably keep that in mind.
Look, sometimes when you're local to a story, it's the best and worst prerogative simultaneously.
Yep.
The way, I'll tip a hand a little bit. People inside the building were being fed this, and then it was circulating from them out that something's going to happen within 24, 48. We're going to have some sort of staff change.
It still might too, right? We're Thursday at 10 a.m.
But that's a relatively minor thing that is normal that happens.
Yeah.
That suddenly morphed, I want to say by about noon Eastern, maybe 1 o'clock Eastern, into Bill Belichick might not be coaching North Carolina anymore by the Cal game. The Cal game is their next game. It is a week from Friday. Like, that's not true. And it was very strange. I've seen destabilization efforts before, and you can usually sniff them out. This one felt very weird. I still don't know where it came from. It was very strange. But
there's a lot of people who spend a lot of money on this who are really, really upset right now. This is not the fan base that you want to offend financially, but also, guys, we just sit on this for a second. I was on a flight back last week, sat next to a UNC alumnus while the game was on, while they were getting blown out by Clemson. And he kind of introduced himself because he saw I was working on college football stuff. And he said, I went to UNC. We have been defrauded. We have been defrauded. That's how they look at this. And on top of that, that was one thing, because we've all seen these situations before. It's that combined with the lack of finesse, of PR appeal, of classiness, as this man said, not just with Belichick, but with the sons on the sideline, with the girlfriend. The girlfriend thing, Jordan Hudson is upsetting just as many people, and Mike Lombardi is upsetting just as many people at North Carolina as Bill Belichick and his sons are for coaching poor football games. This is a total system failure. I've never quite seen anything like this. Because we could talk about, man, Butch Jones had a bad ending at Tennessee. Ross, we can talk about how weird and nasty it got between the AD's office and Ed Orgeron at LSU. But there wasn't a 24-year-old screaming at HBO and CBS News, okay? And telling every famous alumni to show up on Labor Day night right before they get their teeth kicked in, because no one decided to have a meeting and say, hey, guys, our roster is actually not that good, and we need to tamp down the exposure. This program went to great lengths to talk about how, hey, Arch Manning, Texas, and even the national media played it about even on a hype campaign. That's a false narrative. UNC spent the entire offseason putting up a tent, neon lights, and saying, come see the 33rd team from the NFL. They brought this on themselves, and I've never seen a whole hog failure quite like this one.
Yeah, they're really the 15th team in the Sun Belt.
That's really
good one, Andy.
That's really insulting to Coastal Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Not wrong choice. It's insulting to James Madison. It's not insulting to Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, James Madison's trying to build a playoff resume here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And possible future North Carolina coach Bob Chesney.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, maybe.
It's time for I've Got a Feeling. Godfrey and I rallying. Ross Dellenger sitting at 1-5.
Oh, God.
I mean, Godfrey and I are 2-4. So it's not
ULM owes me some a gift or some gear.
Oh my! I mean, yeah, that was not good. Also, does this mean Northwestern's going to beat Penn State? I'm going to leave that dangling right there and go to Ross.
Andy's doing the fast drops on this show that we can stitch them out for Sunday when they all come true.
I know. I just want people to have that in their minds for a second or two.
Inception
as they go into the weekend. So, but Ross, you are trying to get off the mat.
Oh man. Yeah.
Clemson got off the mat against North Carolina last week. We just talked about Bill Belichick. Now, Clemson going to play another from the Belichick cinematic universe, Bill O'Brien and Boston College, which just got shellacked by Pitt and a freshman quarterback last week.
Yeah, nasty. And lost, I think, maybe 4 straight. The 4 straight. They've lost 4 straight games. Including a loss to Stanford and at Cal. Clemson Dabo always does this. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about Clemson in late November. They're going to be like 7-3 or 8-3 and in contention for the ACC, whatever, championship game after FSU's fallen off and whatever. And I just suspect that this is the start of sort of a rise. So I think Clemson goes and wins by at least 2 touchdowns, which is the spread at BC, who trying to figure out what happened to BC. And I'm guessing what happened was they lost their starting quarterback to Florida State over the offseason.
No, he quit before the season ended last year. They knew he was leaving. They went and got Dylan Lonergan, who had been at Alabama, who actually looked like he'd be a pretty good quarterback, and it just has not worked out.
Yeah.
Hey guys, do you remember 2021? It was pretty cool. Sean Lewis's last year at Kent State. That's, I think, 2021, before he went to Colorado with Deion. Kent State, and this actually happened too. They were fodder for like a Georgia team in like week 3 or week 4 that year, and actually started moving the ball on Kirby's defense really well. There's a point to this. Sean Lewis has sort of been on the cusp of having a breakout offense and a breakout G5 program. He left Kent, which is one of the worst programs, if not the worst program in the FBS. Had a cup of coffee at Colorado, goes to San Diego State, and I wouldn't say it's gone poorly. It's gone quietly. They escaped a Northern Illinois game 6-3 a few weeks ago, but last week
they did shut out Cal. Can we?
They beat the brakes off
flowers.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So they've had wonky results. Okay, they didn't have a great season last year. I think they're having some issues with the roster and personnel, but I think they're pulling it together because they were averaging 316 yards a game. And then last week against Colorado State, they had 313 in the first half. The quarterback, Jaden Denigal, has kind of looked like he's figured it out, at least statistically. They're going to go to Nevada, which is one of the worst offenses in Division I, or FBS, I should say. And they're only 7.5-point favorites going into beautiful Reno. I like San Diego State. I want this to work for whatever reason, mainly because a guy went to Kent State and actually made it look positive for a second. And I feel like that's basically the football coach power of like being a faith healer. Like we saw the dead rise. So he should be able to do it again at San Diego State. I always pick interesting games instead of ones that make more sense as a better. I like a road favorite to cover 7.5 is what I've got.
All right, I got a smaller story, but I'm sure you've been following it. There's this game that's going to happen in Dallas this weekend. One team has a quarterback who had surgery like a week and a half ago, and or I guess 2.5 weeks ago. He's listed as questionable on the availability report. John Mateer might play for Oklahoma. We don't know. Or this could be the biggest psyop in the world, and they're just messing with the Texas Longhorns. But I have been looking at this line all week, wondering when it's going to flip to Oklahoma being favored, and it still hasn't, and I can only assume that people just don't watch games. But Texas is a 1.5-point favorite in the Cotton Bowl in the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma. Texas's offensive line has not been good. Steve Sarkisian got asked about what they could do, and he's like, just got to play better, which is coach for, we got nothing. And oh, by the way, Oklahoma, maybe the best pass rush in the country, probably better than the one that Florida used to terrorize Arch Manning last week. You're going to give me points? Listen, if Mateer plays, Oklahoma's winning this game. I have no doubt in my mind about that. I don't know if Mateer's going to play.
Questionable.
I think this may all be...
Andy called it a psyop before we went on the air. Psyop. Snake. I agree with you. I do think especially when it gets into line play, it kind of is what it is unless you have a change because of health. So, Steve Sarkisian standing up there is basically being like, offensive line is a land of many contrasts. And in this essay, I will use the largest type possible to get out of this. They are what they are right now. They are what they are. I don't think they're as bad as the team that played Florida, but I like Oklahoma a lot here. It's going to be a good game.
Now, I will point out that Red River will do this to you sometimes. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Charlie
covered,
notorious for this.
And we talked about this the other day. Yep. You covered a Charlie Strong game where he wound up with the golden hat on his head. I covered the last one Matt coached in. So, and especially when Texas seems like the inferior team, when Texas seems down, that is when things get kind of weird. And that's what it feels like here. Texas is in a back against the wall situation, and Oklahoma is not. If Texas loses, Texas is out of the playoff. I know there's talk about, a 9-3 SEC team could make the playoff. not Texas, because Texas has the easiest draw of the SEC teams. So like Oklahoma, Florida, Mississippi State, Arkansas, which by the way, most of those couldn't possibly go 9-3, but Oklahoma could. Those schedules are hard enough to maybe justify that. Alabama maybe hard enough to justify that. Not Texas. So they have to win this game. They must, which I feel like does give you some ideas, some thought that maybe they will pull it out.
I feel legally obligated to mention this is also the game where a kid with the last name Manning, given everything that's happened, if he pulls it out, if he has the best performance of his season and he wins this game, this is like a myth builder. You know?
Oh yeah.
This is like the first act of the documentary.
Let me point out another potential myth builder, because there is a quarterback who I think might wind up being a quarterback we talk about for a lot of years here, and that's John Mateer.
Yeah.
Guys, who's the number one quarterback off the board in the NFL draft next year?
Oh my
Can
God.
you name that person off the top of your head?
If it's 2 Wazoo transfers in a row.
No, but what I'm saying is John Mateer may only get 1 year at Oklahoma because he may have to go into the draft.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
This man is from Little Elm, Texas. He just spent 3 years in Pullman, Washington. And now this guy from Little Elm, Texas might have one shot to play in the Red River Rivalry. Is he going to let a thing like a surgically repaired thumb stop him? That is, I think, the question that everyone is asking right now.
So we're saying
can't really play with the club,
he may go
though.
first.
So, he's got to squeeze the ball.
Throwing with the club would be amazing.
That would be, he could have a sticky, he had glue on there and just kind of chunk it.
Analysts have him, and I'm pulling up 2 different random rankings with, I don't know what the credibility are. They have him at number 4 right now behind Mendoza, Dante Moore, and Lenore Sellers. But to your point, he could play his way to the top of that.
Yeah. Which there's going to be a lot of quarterback needy teams. Last year's quarterback draft sucked. There's no guarantee that next year's is going to be, because before we were like, oh, it's going to be Arch Manning and DJ Lagway coming out the same year. Well, what does that mean now? So
shout out to
I do think if you are balling out, you have a chance to be in a top 10 pick. You might have to go. So I think he's going to try to play. I have no idea if he's actually going to play. Yeah. I know he's listed as questionable on the availability report, which is probably the only way they could list him in this circumstance. When he dressed out for the Kent State game and just wore the brace on the hand, I was like, oh man, this dude is not comfortable sitting out.
And they've been practicing indoors, right? Like kind of like keeping it quiet, maybe keeping him hidden. So it feels to me like he's going to at least try to play. The fear is that for him and for the team, right, that he tries to play and he re-injures his hand because he's not ready to play.
Right.
And then he's out for 3 more weeks.
The schedule is gnarly.
Yeah. I mean,
gnarly.
I don't know. I mean, I would fear that, I mean, what, it's been 16 days or something? Or by the game time, 18, 19 days? I think it will be 16 days post-surgery if he plays. If he plays, okay.
The game day would be 16 days post-surgery.
Okay.
I will point. Let me just give you the rest of Oklahoma's schedule following the Texas game.
Okay.
At South Carolina, Ole Miss at home, at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri at home, LSU. That is the hardest stretch remaining in America for anyone.
So don't rush it. Just don't rush him. If they really feel that confident
to win, they might be able to win.
I'd keep him off.
Michael Hawkins Jr. We'll see.
Yeah, I'd keep him off then for sure, because you can spend a loss.
What if he Willis reads it in the third quarter?
That also possible. But I mean, I don't want to turn around after hyping up how great the playoff era has been in terms of quality of regular season. But you can spend a loss. I know you don't want to lose to Texas. I get it. I know this is one of the greatest rivalries in the sport.
You also want to be the one, like if you're OU. You want to be the one that knocks out Texas.
Oh, God, yeah. Especially this Texas.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
And that is the drama of the whole thing. So 3:30 Eastern, you got that drama in Dallas. You got the drama in Eugene of, can Indiana prove that it belongs with the elite teams? Can Oregon keep winning? Then you go to the night games. Which fan base is going to want to fire their coach into the sun?
South Carolina or LSU?
or
Or
Michigan
Georgia.
or USC or Auburn.
I'm sure Auburn will act. I'm sure
Just-
Auburn will be rational and calm.
And we haven't talked about the late game, 10:15 p.m. Eastern kickoff. Arizona State at Utah, by the way.
Woo!
Yeah, that's a fun
potential
one.
Big 12 elimination.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's fun.
Sounds like
For Utah.
Sounds like
And it's a Big 12 game, so who knows what the hell will happen.
3.5 point coin. Flip it. See what happens. Gentlemen, I can't wait.